What's up, everybody? Episode 307 of the All You Can Hear podcast. I am one of your three tenacious, determined, loyal, hardworking, strong, sexy co-host Tanner. And with me, as per usual,
bouncing and punching and twerking and dancing Colt, because that's my fighting style.
Wenzel of the Wind fighting style.
Whoa! And shout out.
I just blow into your ear.
That'd be kind of annoying.
Let me try.
Yeah.
That only picked up for
you
1
can't
second.
use my fighting style. You're not good. I'm
training. So we hope y'all liked our new intro. That will be that will be used for all. Let's just get right into it. Welcome to the summer of fisting.
Yeah.
That was me clapping. I wasn't doing the intro again.
I was doing the intro again.
And if you're confused about the title, it is exactly what you think it is. And we're not going to clarify, but you know what it is.
Well, I would hope so.
It's fisting.
Since Enter the Dragon is also in the episode title. I mean, there's probably something that involves fisting called Enter the Dragon.
Oh, yeah, like Bad Dragon.
Or, I mean, you could do a lot with that. I mean, dragon could mean penis.
Mm-hmm.
Or a fleshlight that's like dragon themed.
Yeah.
Well, the huge aren't like the really, really, really big dildos referred to as dragon dildos?
Yeah, they're bad dragons. That's why I said that.
And I mean, Enter the Dragon, like.
Wow.
Mouth
really?
Dragon, somebody's asshole.
Wow. I guess this movie
exactly what we're here to talk about.
This movie had more of a pop culture significance than I thought.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce Lee.
Thank you.
But if you don't know, just a quick little, what are we doing? Colt Wenzel and I thought it'd be fun to kind of pick like a. They're not explicitly like kung fu movies, but they're movies with heavy reliance on hand-to-hand combat. For the summer, it will be June and July, and we picked a movie from the 70s, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Maybe I've had that list of what we're actually doing. Just available.
I was gonna say that to you because I don't know what's on the list.
Guess what? Already found it. So
damn, that was nice. So fast.
We
just
are
like
doing. You know me. We are doing Enter the Dragon, which is today's episode.
Yay!
And we're doing it every other week. So there'll be like a normal AYCH episode. Should be a normal AYCH episode in between all of these, but we're doing it every other week. So this first episode will be Enter the Dragon. The next episode we do is in the 80s. We'll be doing Police Story.
Yep.
Our 1990s movie will be Legend of Drunken Master. Our 2000s movie is Kung Fu Hustle. And our 2010s movie, which was chosen by Wenzel, is what kind of kicked off all this, will be The Raid.
Yes, because this started with really Tanner's interest, and then kind of like I feel like Twitter talk, and then it was like, yeah, we need to watch some, and I need to get everybody on the fucking Raid, and I need to get on more martial arts films. So
yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is like, because we all watched this together at my house, and we were like, man, we should watch more of these.
Yep.
So we're here today. We're here to talk a little bit about Enter the Dragon. It is a 50-year-old movie. We're not taking you scene by scene. We're not going to give you a fucking plot synopsis, because at the end of the day, it is a kung fu movie from the early 70s. But also, this movie fucking rocks.
Because he just said we're not going to give you a plot synopsis, and I look at the doc and it says.
Okay. Okay. We are giving a plot synopsis. I guess, but like
if we're gonna talk about the movie, we got to talk about what it's about for those who probably.
Yes.
We're not going to tell you what it's about.
We are going to tell you. Okay.
Say like, damn, that was cool. Huh?
Google Enter the Dragon. Safe search off. Image only.
Wait, what? Okay.
I agree.
I haven't podcasted in a long time. I have forgotten the spoken English language as a result.
I've been gone for a month, so I agree.
Oh yeah, Wenzel was gone.
Yeah, Wenzel's back. We flew him in just for this. We were like, Wenzel, we have to get a fucking podcast out. You're coming home today. Wenzel's been home for about 2 weeks, but he's coming home today. We bought our troops home. That was the AYCH promise. We sent Wenzel on assignment to the Philippines. And our promise since day one of the podcast was get our boy home. And
that's exactly.
Thank you, Joe Biden.
We fucking did it.
They flew me first class, all you can eat buffet.
Yep.
It was the Air Force One.
Now we did have to trade the most notorious arms dealer in global history.
Yeah.
My name is Jim.
I wasn't kidnapped or anything. I went here on vacation.
No. And also we had to pay for Wenzel's ticket.
Yeah.
That we forgot to put that in the trade.
Yeah.
But I think we came out better on top.
Yeah, I guess.
Wenzel, so do you want to tell us how you smuggled 200 pounds of marijuana into the Philippines?
Jesus Christ. Don't say that.
Fucking banned.
Man, it's crazy. I was reading, there's like wrestlers that wrestle in Japan. Back in like, even as recently as like 2017, 2018, there was a wrestler that took like, had like a vape pen in Japan. They just put him in jail for like 6 months.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, I mean.
Pretty fucked.
Yeah, and if you can imagine it being pretty fucked in the Philippines for drugs as well, it is. So,
But Wenzel did bring me back a cool toy, so I guess we'll
Yeah,
let him off
he
the hook
did.
this time.
Yeah, I was able to smuggle those out. I didn't smuggle anything out. I just
No, well, I don't know. We've seen the pictures, Wenzel.
Jesus Christ.
Before we get started, I also want to say, kind of to go on the bit of I don't know how to talk because I haven't podcasted in a little bit. Yesterday in Barnes & Noble, I was looking for books to read because I'm on vacation right now. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to buy some books. So I got some books, but Riley kept trying to help me get books. And I haven't been a huge reader for like the last 10 years. I haven't really read heavily since high school. And she kept saying, oh, you should read this. And she would get really mad at me. I'd be like, Riley, I don't know how to fucking read. Barnes & Noble. I was like, that's why I only get manga. And so I kept like every time like she would, and we were also in a different city. We were in Huntsville yesterday. She was like, oh, you should read this. I was like, I don't know how to fucking read. And then I'd just go back to the manga. It was a pretty good bit. She got really mad at me, but I ended up buying 4 books. So
nice.
No manga?
No, actually, no manga.
Oh my god!
Believe it or not, they had a ton of manga. I mean, fuck, this is not the podcast for it, but they had a ton of manga since the last time we went, when we went back in April, and they have way more figures now.
Yeah, that was a very cool picture you sent. I will say the Barnes & Noble here locally, their selection of stuff has gotten a little more organized and better, I will say.
Pretty
well, that's great. They probably did that while you were gone. They were like, all right, guys, we have a month till Wenzel gets back.
Win him over.
Yeah. Y'all want to talk about
No.
Hold on, I'm talking about this right now. So they actually did win me over. I'll just say that.
That's fucking great. Yeah.
Well, because like even before I left, their selection for like everything just got better, and that's because like there's this whole thing about their whole restructuring because there's a new owner of Barnes & Noble, like the corporate. So it's Anyway, let's talk about this movie.
How much is Barnes & Noble worth?
What is going on?
Barnes & Noble is worth... Interesting.
Really, this is out of pocket for you, Colt? This is really out of pocket?
How much do y'all think Barnes & Noble is worth? Like,
I'm gonna say 750. I don't know.
Like, they're huge.
I'm gonna say 700
4
million.
billion.
that can't be right.
What?
Revenue, net income. Ooh.
Tanner, you can't do this to us.
Their total equity is like $400 million.
What?
Wow, we were close.
Yeah, I did not say 4 billion. So yeah, I was pretty
their
close.
operating income, granted, this is fiscal year 2019. This is the latest info I can get. But their operating income for fiscal year 2019 was only $38 million.
What?
Is America not reading?
What the
No.
hell? I bet like 30 of that is manga. $30 million pure manga.
That does beg the question. Barnes Noble founded in 1886. Wow. Okay. All right. Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that.
So yeah, Enter the Dragon. And we'll all take turns like taking the reign on this. But again, this when I hear Enter the Dragon, I feel like this is the movie that everybody like starts their kung fu movies or like martial art movie obsession with. Like it seems the most accessible, like in a way, with like, oh, you which like now in the zeitgeist, like, oh, you have Bruce Lee, who's like the guy for these movies.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also it's in English, so it was like very accessible to weirdos that don't want to watch something that's in a different language.
Yeah. I will say we're watching this movie and we all know it came out in 73 and we start talking about when Bruce Lee died and Colt said like 1969, 4 years prior to this movie. And I said there's no way. And so we Googled Bruce Lee died in 73.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you would have asked me prior to Friday when we were watching this movie when Bruce Lee died, I would have said 2004.
What the fuck? That's weird. Why?
I just had no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I knew he died young, and that was like the big thing was the fact that he died young. So this film was his final film appearance. He died on July 20th, 1973, and this film released in Hong Kong 6 days after his death, so July 26, 1973.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
So-
And this movie only had a budget of $850,000.
Yeah. So I was looking over like their like that, and I was completely blown away by how much this movie made. $400 million, which in today's money, with inflation from 2022, is over $2 billion it made worldwide.
Yeah, and just for reference, you're like, well, $850,000 in 1973. How much is that? That's still less than $6 million in today's money. So
And that's considered low budget.
oh yeah, under 6 million today would be extremely low budget. I mean, you're talking fucking like indie movie. Like that's not even like A24. That's like some guy has rich parents and they got a fucking camcorder.
That's fucked up.
Like this earned 400 times more than its budget, which is that is incredibly successful.
For reference, the budget for the first Jackass movie was $10 million.
Jesus.
That's the
Thinking
reference.
about like what they do in there.
Well, I mean, when you think
I don't
about
know
when you think
what
about
they
what they do especially in the first movie, like there's not even any like super high risk stuff. It's just dudes with a fucking camcorder.
Yeah.
And the
no, I
budget
see
for
what
that
you're
was
saying
still
now.
$10 million.
What did they pay? Like, what were they paying for? Was it like hospital bills for destroyed nuts?
I don't know.
We're
I
talking about Enter
assume,
the Dragon,
I
not
mean, I assume the
Jackass.
guys just got paid fairly well.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, which is great, but I mean, because it did become a bit of a commercial success, grossing over $80 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so this movie cost half a Jackass.
Yes,
and
it
made
does.
way more. God, that's crazy.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, adjusted
Yeah.
for inflation, this would be one of the highest grossing movies ever.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
believe so.
Adjusted for $2 billion in today's money. I mean, what the highest grossing movie ever is? What, barely over 3?
Yeah,
Yeah. No, this is considered one of the most profitable movies of all time, as well as the most successful martial arts film. Yeah. I have a little thing.
Adjusted for inflation, I would think this would be the most profitable movie of all time. I mean, if you adjust it for I guess it's hard to do, but box office 400 million, it costs less than $1 million. This movie made 400 legitimate $1 million.
that's fucking
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so Avatar is currently the highest grossing movie ever with $2.9 billion, and that's in today's money. So, like, I mean, it would be hard to adjust everything for inflation on here, but if you just did everything for inflation, Enter the Dragon would come in at like 7th.
But what about Avatar adjusted for inflation?
No, that Avatar number is adjusted for inflation.
Oh, okay.
Because Avatar's still making money
Yeah.
because they're fucking releasing it every 2.5 weeks.
We should probably talk about Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, so this is directed by Robert Klaus. Its runtime is also only 1 hour and 42 minutes, so it's not too long, almost 2 hours.
It flew
Nice.
by too.
Yeah, it was a very quick 100 minutes.
Yeah, and should mention too, the fighting style for this movie specifically is MMA. It's mixed martial arts, so like it's just a mix of so many different fighting styles. It's pretty crazy. I thought that was pretty cool because this is really threw MMA into popularity.
Yeah, I guess it is crazy because even the term mixed martial arts did not exist in this movie. They just keep referring to it as a martial arts tournament. Like the term MMA really, or mixed martial arts, didn't even come into like the lexicon of culture till like the late 80s, early 90s. And this is 73. Like I'm trying to think. Like a lot of people like to point to that Antonio Inoki versus Muhammad Ali exhibition thing as like the first MMA fight. And I'm trying to remember, and that didn't happen for 3 more years after this. That happened in 76. So this movie, just from a pop culture standpoint, kind of, there probably are movies that take this, but like as we've already talked about, like this just made so much money. This was just the most successful one of those. But it did it 3 years before Inoki Ali, which already was like 15 years ahead of its time when it happened. So I mean, I don't. It's kind of crazy. Like it makes you think like if Bruce Lee would have like lived, how like the whole trajectory of like mixed martial arts around the world would be probably completely different. Like we would probably gotten something like the UFC in America like 15 years before we actually did.
Yeah, that is a crazy thought.
Yeah,
because rich as shit. He'd be
yeah, because obviously we had like boxing. I mean, boxing was huge in the 60s and 70s, but as nobody was really being like, oh fuck, we should get these random karate guys fighting like sumo. Like the first UFC shows were truly mixed martial art, no weight classes or anything, and we didn't have, like I said, UFC didn't come around till the 90s. Pride in Japan didn't come around till the 90s, so it's kind of fucking crazy to think like if Bruce Lee would have lived, if we would have gotten something like Pride or UFC or somewhere in the world, like as a televised event, because there's, we have proof that, that it was happening in Brazil in like the 80s, 70s and 80s with the Gracies, bunch of frauds. But anyways, it's just crazy to think about, like, what, like, the whole world of sport is already different, thanks in large part to this movie, but how much different could it have been if, Bruce Lee didn't tragically die so young?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just wild too, like, uh, I mean, really thinking about the term mixed martial arts, because that's why you can't really nail down anything in this film, is because everybody is using like a mix of whatever fighting style they learned. Like, I say this because I thought this was fascinating, because I was trying to look up, okay, what are these fighting styles that they're using in this film, and it's like, I can never find anything concrete, because it was like everybody was using a style, but they were mixing it because it's mixed martial arts. And then especially Bruce Lee, he had his own style, which there was a specific kick that he uses in this film that apparently was only unique to him, that he created, that now schools, I think, will teach it.
That's
Because
pretty
like
cool.
it's just, yeah, it was just something he done, because the style that he was using wasn't taught in any other school. So it's just it's crazy. Like, some of these guys in here now, I have this notable uh actors and character list. The characters that are on here, these are the ones that are really the most important, the ones we see the most. All these people, except for probably maybe one person on here, all of them can, like, they all know MMA. They all know martial arts. Like, all of them can fight, especially Jim Kelly. He actually won several fights. And they actually kind of like show that a little bit in the film, or they kind of like um kind of hint to that they use it in the film, is that, like, he's won fights. Well, he actually has won several fights in real life. He was he was Williams. Jim Kelly played Williams.
Yeah.
He had the cool afro.
Yeah, he did.
But
Oh wow, I did not. Jim. I'm reading about Jim Kelly right now, and like first black martial arts film star. With makes. I mean, it's the early '70s. Yeah, that makes sense. But like his acting credits are like after this movie, it kind of shot him into like a leading man for the rest of the '70s. In like like mixed martial arts movies, because this movie was also like the first of its kind, with it being like a Hong Kong and like Hollywood co-production sort of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
and
that's
it's
really
the
cool.
first of its kind as well. So, like, going into more of its cultural significance, like I said, I have this little tidbit here about it. Is it's actually it's among the first films to combine martial arts action with spy film elements and the emerging blaxploitation genre.
Yeah.
And because of its success, it led to more production of martial arts and blaxploitation being like working in tandem together. So it's absolutely just amazing, like crazy.
Also, Wenzel, you'll find this I don't know if you knew this. Jim Kelly trained in the Okinawan karate style. So like the karate style specifically unique to Okinawa. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, I did know that. I that was something I did look into. That's also Karate Kid. That's what they use. I think karate might actually be unique to Okinawa. Hold on, I gotta look this up.
But yeah, this movie just, and two, one thing I said at the very front of this movie was, it is a miracle of technology. We have movies from 50 years ago, especially, a movie with such a low budget, look as good as it does. Like, because this movie looked gorgeous. Like we just rented it, but I mean, it's incredible that like 10 years prior or 15 years prior, there's still movies in like black and white, just kind of coming out of the silent era. And, we have this movie that is actually legit a half century old that looks fucking incredible. That just shows like people taking care of it, I guess. And like we have like just, it looks like we were there. Like some of it just looks so clean.
Yeah, it's very
the way
clean.
the colors were.
Yeah.
I guess it was just because of the 70s. Beautiful colors, man. I really enjoy the 70s colors. I know they're like kind of pukey, but they're really nice.
Well, it always depends too on like directors and how films hold up over time. But I should say too, looking here at the Visit Okinawa, their website here about traditional culture, Okinawa is the birthplace of karate. I just wanted to mention that. But that's
Ah.
where it comes from. But yeah, no, the film, like how it holds up even today, it still looks gorgeous. And that's probably due to the fact that of how successful it was. So it's been maintained and kept preserved quite well over time. And yeah, it holds up considerably. Let's kind of go back into some order here. So synopsis for anybody who needs to know. Bruce Lee plays a character just called Lee. He is a skilled martial artist and instructor from Hong Kong. He is approached by a British intelligence agent. He does have a name, but honestly, the guy was so fucking unimportant. I just didn't include him here. I'm sorry.
Literally in 2 scenes in the whole movie.
2 scenes.
Yep.
Who's investigating a suspected crime lord, Han, played by Sek Kin. Lee is hired to go undercover and participate in Han's martial arts tournament on his private island in an attempt to investigate and recover evidence of drug trafficking and human trafficking. And this is where we get John Saxon playing as Roper, Jim Kelly playing as Williams, Anna Capri playing Tania, which I did include her because she was the lover of Roper, who for some reason we never see it, just dies off screen.
Yeah, she just falls over and hits her head. She's
just dead.
Yeah, it was fucked. and then at the end of the movie, Roper's just like, "Well, that's how the dice rolls."
Yeah, he just bummed out.
Yeah, he actually like exchanges a thumbs up with Bruce Lee at the end of the movie, like, "We did it."
Like,
it's like, dude, everybody's dead.
Your babe is gone. Like,
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you were very whatever. Anyway, Robert Wallace O'Hara, Angela Mao Ying as Su Lin, and then Bolo Yeung, I think that's how you say his name, as Bolo.
Bolo fucking ruled.
Bolo was fucking cool. Dude was beefy.
And all he would do is grunt.
He would grunt and then he would fold people. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty crazy.
Bolo's still alive. He's 76 years old. He's an old man.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, Bolo is Chong Li from Bloodsport. If y'all,
I don't know what that is. I mean, I know what it is, but I haven't seen it.
Y'all gotta watch Bloodsport. I really wish we could have got Bloodsport on here, but y'all gotta watch Bloodsport because Bloodsport fucking rules.
I mean, it doesn't mean we can't do another summer of fisting.
Yeah, this is not the last summer that's ever happening.
We don't know.
Uh-oh.
We don't know, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's so cool too because like obviously he's like a legitimate like mix or like he does kung fu and stuff, but like in the movie he's just this buff guy, and literally he kills somebody on screen by holding him like a fucking baby.
Yeah, he does.
Like he just holds him like a baby, and he goes.
And he holds him like a baby, but like what he's doing is he's bending him, he's folding him, literally like a fucking book. It was so crazy. Oh my god. Gosh. Where do we start though? Really? So this is something also I thought was interesting. Is this everybody's first Bruce Lee film?
Yeah, this is a very first Bruce Lee movie I've ever seen.
Definitely the first one that I have a memory of. It's definitely possible. Like 20 years ago, it was on TV and it was on, and I watched it. But this is the first one that I consciously remember, like watching. So,
it's the same way for me. I'm fairly certain my dad probably showed me one, but I was so young, I don't remember. But Bruce Lee is so iconic. You know, everybody's seen him so much. So.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like you probably don't even ever have to have watched a film And I think Bruce Lee could be a name you could pull out of a hat, and you would know that. I would be like, oh, Bruce Lee, he was the martial art guy. It was like, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yellow suit guy, because that's also what he's famous for.
yeah.
Yep,
Um,
the Kill Bill stole it.
But
We're coming for you, Quentin.
what do we think of his performance?
I thought it was very fun. It was very super serious. And he was a ladies' man. Everybody loved him.
Dude, he was unpinchable, first of all. Not an ounce of body fat on this man.
Oh no, none.
Yeah.
We see almost every ounce of him in the very beginning in the first fight in the movie, because he is wearing what I can only describe as a thong. So even his butt was muscular. I've never seen an ass that chiseled. I mean, you would have to go into some of the world's greatest museums to see. I mean, it was like somebody took a hammer and just crafted the perfect man. Now if Bruce Lee was 6'2", I mean, he would have been the perfect man.
Jesus. Yeah, no, dude is dude's jacked, and I remember learning vaguely over time, just, he was very strict about his diet and about how he exercised, how he worked out. It's so it makes sense for him to be like that, which is also crazy too, that he looks like that. He looks so just jacked, chiseled. But then I remember learning too is that, like, for a lot of, like, I want to say, like, maybe celebrities or actors or maybe just men in general who are working out, I just remember off the wall just hearing about this trainer who's talking about all these guys who come in and they talk about, like, how they want to work out, and this is kind of the ideal body they want, and it's always the ideal body that they state is Brad Pitt from Fight Club. And
okay,
don't get me wrong, Brad Pitt looks, all right. I mean, he looks, but I'm like, what about Bruce Lee? Like, dude is crazy.
I think the problem with Bruce Lee is that, like, his build, it is just fucking unobtainable.
Yeah,
so,
and but that was crazy too, is that he told every guy that came to him that said that, literally he told them, he's like, it's impossible to get that physique of Brad Pitt. And I'm like, Jesus, like, and with Bruce Lee too, I'm like, that is tough.
Yeah,
so,
so I'm reading Bruce Lee actually bulked up for this movie, and still he was only 135 pounds.
Wow.
Filming this movie, 5'7", 135 pounds. That's fucking absurd. Like, but, and it's crazy too, because obviously, as we all know, muscle weighs more than fat, and he's just fucking muscle. He's just a pure muscle. There's nothing. Him, also Jim Kelly in this movie is fucking ripped too. Like, I didn't even think 8-packs existed in the 70s, and Jim Kelly comes out, got a fucking 8-pack. Bolo, he's not like, he's yoked.
Yeah,
like,
he's meat.
He's not shredded, but he's like just a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then you have fucking Roper.
It's just a white guy.
It just looks like a dude. Like, I'm sure, obviously in great shape, but like, it just looks like a dude.
We never see him. Like, we always see him in turtlenecks, or if we do get a little bit of a shot of his chest, he's just hairy.
Yeah, and it's also funny because they never explicitly say how old he's supposed to be in the movie, but I assume he's only supposed to be like 35 in the movie. And he looks like he could be my grandfather.
Yeah, he's gray haired.
He was late 30s in the movie though, when his real age was.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking right here. He's born in 36, which means in 73 he would have been 37. Jesus Christ, man. I'm telling you, people just age quicker back then.
Yeah, probably doesn't help with all the drinking and the cigarettes,
The lead.
the lead, the asbestos, the wars.
Yeah, but you can
Racism.
get over that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, my bad.
yeah.
And
Damn,
also,
and he didn't die till 2020. Sorry, but
no, wow.
yeah, and he died of pneumonia in 2020. So
Ah,
very likely could have been COVID related. Man, that's fucking crazy. Also, he was interred. What does that mean?
What?
It says he was interred at Lakeview Cemetery in Seattle, Washington. He's buried near Bruce Lee.
Oh, I guess they were good friends. Maybe.
But is Bruce Lee buried in Seattle?
Maybe.
That seems weird.
I don't know actually.
Oh wow, and he died in Murfreesboro. That's like 2.5 hours from here. All right, back to the movie.
Yeah, Bruce Lee is buried in Seattle.
Ah,
Why?
probably because it's where he died.
Bruce, man, we're about to go down the fucking rabbit hole. Buckle up.
I mean, we didn't have to look this stuff up for this episode, but now that it's here, it's like, well, we gotta know.
Yeah, like, I mean, why is he buried in Seattle? If you know why Bruce Lee was buried in Seattle, please let us know.
Yeah, he
At AYCH Podcast.
apparently he collapsed in Hong Kong. That's where he had the heart problem.
It wasn't a heart problem; it was a brain problem.
Oh,
Yeah,
brain.
yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't make. Oh, his wife. Reading here, Lee's wife Linda returned to her hometown of Seattle. So she had him buried in her hometown.
Well, it says right here, Lee considers, according to his family, he considered it his home.
Yeah.
So they buried him there. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Mystery solved.
Wow, I never knew that though. I had no idea that he had any ties whatsoever to Seattle.
No. Anyway, back to the movie. Speaking of opening scenes, what do we think of the opening scene? Did it pull us in? Was it enough to get us? I mean, we had to watch it anyway, but
Honestly, I'm trying to remember the scene and I can't. But if you were to tell me, I would.
no, I won't tell you.
It was the first scene. I assume you're talking about the fight at the very beginning of the movie between Bruce Lee and
that's
whoever
the thing.
Yeah.
Is even though I remember the fight, there's the scene afterwards where Bruce Lee is talking to one of the masters, and it goes on for so long. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and like Sorry,
yeah. There's about 35 minutes of the movie. Again, keep in mind it's only an hour 40, but the first 35 minutes is like, hey, here's this character, here's his backstory, here's this character, here's his backstory. It's really funny too because like we get Roper's backstory as they're like going to Hans Island and he's like playing golf and he's a gambling addict and he's like, fuck, I gotta fight these people. Jim Kelly's backstory literally looked like he just wandered in a Taekwondo class and he was like, this is now my life. I have to do this forever. And he got invited to Han's martial arts tournament.
To be fair, Jim Kelly's character Williams was just walking home and he ended up getting harassed by policemen and he ended up having to beat the policemen up and stole their car.
Yeah, stole the cop car and he drove from Hawaii to Hong Kong in the stolen police car.
So he's I mean he's escaping the law and then Roper's escaping,
gambling.
crime.
And then Bruce Lee's sister was murdered by somebody who's also in the tournament.
Yeah. And then
so everybody has their reasons, I guess.
But yeah, that talking scene between him and the master really took over my memory rather than the fight itself.
See, I thought the fight at the beginning was just so weird because again, they're like almost naked. Like, and
yeah, you got to get almost naked to fight, bro.
it was Bruce Lee, and it was like I don't even the guy, whoever he was fighting, is an unnamed character. But it was so funny because it's like a bigger dude, but the bigger dude's like busting off fucking backflips and shit, like avoiding Bruce Lee's kicks. And then Bruce Lee eventually submits him, but it's just really funny. It's like this dude who's not like built or anything, but it's like flipping all over the place, and Bruce Lee, eventually submits him. But it's really funny too. Like that's the first memory of the movie. Oh, also Bruce Lee randomly hitting the fucking kid.
Yeah.
Right after the fight, where he keeps telling the kid to kick him, and he's like, "No, kick with emotion. This is a performance." And he does it again, literally the exact same kick. He's like, "Anger's not an emotion."
Well, no, he says use your emotions, but not anger or something.
Yeah, not anger. It seems like Bruce Lee was moving the goalpost for this kid.
Which I should like. So what's interesting about Bruce Lee is that there's been so many like parodies or like impressions done of him, and it's really something else to actually see how he talks and performs. And like it seems like he's very meticulous with his words, but at the same time he's so serious. I don't really know how to explain it. It's not really bad, but it's so, I don't know. It's
way different than any movie now. Like I think it's probably just part of it is just like a product of its time, because like also you have Bruce Lee like breaking all these stereotypes and stuff, and I don't know, he was probably like I got to do like the fucking, I have to be an actor to get people to like respect me, but also he just kicked ass, and that's how, that's what we know him as now. And again, I think too, part of it's just like the product of being 50 years removed from it.
Yeah,
maybe people were just a little weirder in the 70s.
Oh yes, 100%.
That was probably true.
Yeah,
because honestly, I could say that about any person's performance in this movie, where it's like it's serious and it's good, but it's also strange. And I can say that about any fucking actor in this movie. So
that's what
maybe people are just a little weird.
Well, that's what's interesting too about this, and I think that might have something to do with the dub. So, what did everybody think about the dub?
I thought it was pretty well done. It was lining up really well. There was like maybe one or two characters where the dub was like, they just gave up and they didn't know how to fucking accurately dub over that, because it looked like they were not speaking English in that scene.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about that is I didn't realize this, because I looked this up because I had a feeling that them dubbing over them. So the characters spoke English, but they were talking over, like they were clearly recorded in post-production. And the reason why was because this film was shot in location in Hong Kong, and it's a local film practice to film it without sound, and dialogue and sound effects were added or dubbed in during post-production. And I did not know that. And I was like, well, that makes sense. And then it's just interesting too, for decades, films were typically shot silent with all dialogue and stuff dubbed afterwards. It was part of a hectic and low budget industry. This method was faster and more cost efficient than recording live sound. And it also makes sense for them to be able to use different dialects for different regions. I was like, that's so simple but so smart. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And it says here too that sometimes even actors would either mouth silently or they just recite numbers whenever they were talking.
What the fuck? That's probably what that one guy was doing.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can definitely see that in the movie too. Or there's one scene, I can't remember. Bruce Lee's talking. I believe it's like the master at the beginning of the movie, where the master is looking away from the camera, but you can still see his like cheek, and his mouth very clearly is not moving, but he is talking.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's very
yeah.
fun.
I guess
And
that makes sense too, especially with like I mean, again, you're talking about an $850,000 budget. How much money they probably save not having to worry about. I don't know what kind of sound equipment existed in the 70s, but you didn't have to have any of it. And then this most of the movie was filmed outside, so you used natural light. So I guess those were ways to cut cost.
Yeah, and it's just interesting too because if you watch a lot of other films from the 70s, if they're if they're not filmed in Hong Kong or depending on who's doing it, I mean you don't really experience this. So I thought that's why I thought this was uniquely to these kind of to this industry, to this region. And there's something. Oh yeah, and then also too, it would sometimes the dub would be done by a different performer to help get that performer more out there.
Was Bruce Lee still voiced by Bruce Lee?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, everybody was voiced by it themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did find
your own research.
I did find it funny though, because towards the end of the movie, like right before the final fight, like for whatever reason, everybody has been speaking English the whole time. The dude just starts yelling in Chinese.
Yeah.
They didn't bother dubbing over it. I wonder why. And then part of me was like, I wonder if that was like because again, this is a co-production between Hollywood and Hong Kong. I wonder if that was the Hollywood way of signifying, be like, we have to show that this guy's evil. He has to speak Chinese.
it's Hollywood
possible.
Yeah,
but especially in the 70s. Like I was thinking, I was like, I'm probably why they did that. I was like, it had to have been because he's the only guy that spoke any other language in the movie.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, he also killed one of our main protagonists, so you should have already known he was evil. But again,
which was bullshit.
Yeah, it was a stupid death scene. Like
out of all the people to have gotten killed, why was it the guy that was probably the most skilled? Besides Bruce Lee, it was freaking.
It should have been Roper.
It should have been Roper. Roper is a fucking fraud.
He sucked. Like the entire movie was him losing.
Let's talk about Roper's fucking fight. Explain to me how he loses he drops 3 rounds.
Yeah.
But we only see him win 1 round and then he just walks off like he won.
Yeah, so Roper, being a gambling addict that he is, told Williams to do a bet for him with this other guy who had a Hitler mustache.
Never seen again in the entire movie, by the way.
Never seen. To do basically an 8-3 odds, and for some reason he goes down 3 times, but then wins. Like Tanner said once.
It makes no sense. Oh, and also he kicked the guy in the dick, which
cheating.
Which like fine. Like I mean, I don't even think low blows were illegal in like actual modernized MMA to like the early 2000s, but still, he kicked the guys in the balls, and then he just turned around and was like, that's how you do it, boys. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm pretty sure there wasn't an honor system for this fight.
I mean, obviously not. I just don't understand how he could get his ass kicked 3 times and then kick a guy in the dick once and is like, 1, 2, 3, baby. What'd I tell you? And then, meanwhile, just sitting there was like, you lost the fight, motherfucker. You lost. You just kick the guys in the balls.
I don't know. That money says otherwise.
Yeah, it's also funny, too, because Roper is super in debt. And then before he goes to this tournament, he's like, how much is in my bank account, sweetie? And the woman's like, $60.43. He's like, I leave every penny to you. And then he goes
and then the woman's like, I think you're going to need it more than me.
Yeah, she's like, I don't need it. And then he goes, and every scene we see him in, he's like, oh, fuck. Even when they're on the boat going to Hans Island, he's like, I'll take this praying mantis 5-1.
Yeah. So okay, on the boat ride to the island, they're watching praying mantis fight, and then of course he bets, and he ends up losing $50.
Yeah, which
he didn't.
There's no such thing as electronic banking in the 70s. So he had to have withdrew all his money before he went,
which was $60.
which was $60.43. Also, we had an ethics conversation during the praying mantis because one praying mantis very obviously dies.
Yeah, that was something, because we were thinking about like, okay, so obviously for animals and stuff, birds or mammals, or I mean mostly that. I mean, even like, because I know there was another movie, I want to say it might have been Cannibal Holocaust, but there's tortoises or very large turtles that are very clearly
that was Cannibal
killed.
Holocaust.
So like, where's the line? Like, do insects, because insects are animals, they're in the kingdom of animals, is that considered animal cruelty, or is it because they're tiny? Like, where's the line?
I mean, it was animal cruelty, but the time frame, it wasn't really as frowned upon as it is now. Because we had Milo and Otis in the 80s with the dogs and the cats dying multiple times when they filmed it.
You say that, but how many insects between the 70s and now have been killed live on camera?
Not many, because like there's not really many scenes with bugs.
Like, I'm trying to think.
That's
I mean, usually you'll get like flies and stuff.
I mean, but flies, spiders.
I remember
ants.
watching this. I was like, man, a praying mantis seems like too sentient of an animal. And also, it's like the conversation of like, it was a praying mantis fighting another praying mantis too. So obviously they had to like provide. I don't know. It was weird because I remember saying while we were watching, I was like, man, imagine if this was two chickens.
Yeah, well,
they did provoke them by they put them in a cage and they shook it.
Yeah,
they shook them. Yeah. So
it was just like, I wondered when that started. Like, obviously, again, the 70s, they didn't think anything of it, but I just wonder. I'm about to. I had to sneeze, but
that was so fucking. Why did it sound like that?
I had to sneeze.
That was.
That was. I wonder when the conversation, like in Hollywood, was like, and again, I guess maybe there's different laws in different countries. Like, maybe a bunch of movies in Hong Kong still kill ants. I don't fucking know. I just wonder, like, what was I just thought it was weird because it's like a closed-in shot of these two praying mantises fighting, and then one praying mantis starts tearing the other praying mantis's legs off, and then Roper's just like, "Well, fuck, I lost 5-1 odds."
50.
Oh, he lost to gamble at the island. Just the entire movie he's gambling.
Yeah. And at the end of the movie, even though he's standing tall and technically, I mean, he didn't win the tournament. It's him and Bruce Lee standing tall at the end. Roper is poor. How is he going to get home? He lived in America. He's in fucking Hong Kong.
I mean, more than likely.
You think Bruce Lee spotted him?
Honestly,
you know what, Tanner? Like, every gambler quits right before
they win. You're exactly right. You think he took his last $10 and went to play the slots?
Oh yes, indeed.
No, I think what happened is, I think literally, no, not literally. I think if we're talking about like a scenario, so remember, British intelligence came in. They were able to, get on the island, get all the criminal evidence, blah blah blah. Honestly, they probably paid Bruce Lee, and then Bruce Lee was like, "Hey, this other guy Roper here, he kind of helped me out," so they probably paid him too.
Man, if I was Bruce Lee, I'd be like, "I've never seen this fucker in my life."
I mean, Roper did help him, like
barely. First of all, the prisoners helped more than Roper.
Oh yeah.
If it wasn't for the prisoners,
killed Roper's girlfriend.
That is kind of insinuated. It could have been the prisoners that killed.
Jesus Christ,
his girlfriend. But that's the price you pay when the world of martial arts.
And more than likely too, since he has gambling debt, he probably didn't go back to America. He probably stayed in Hong Kong.
That is true. He had a huge amount. What did they say? $175,000.
Something like that.
It was like a quarter of the budget of this movie.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you just for inflation, you're probably talking about $2 million of gambling debt in the 70s. I mean, he's putting up fucking Jordan numbers.
See, and the thing is too, he has so many fucking turtlenecks.
Yeah, that is true. Motherfucker was wearing a literal fucking robe open with a goddamn turtleneck on. It didn't make any sense.
I would imagine a lot of the debt comes from him buying turtlenecks.
The turtlenecks,
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree. Because turtlenecks, I mean, a lot of people don't realize this, but turtlenecks didn't really exist in mainstream till Steve Jobs and Apple really blew up. So he had to
Yeah.
get these custom made. He had to say, hey, what if I had a long sleeve shirt, but my head hole was also long sleeved?
And the thing is the turtleneck market during the 70s, I know for a fact was big because there was a lot of 70s stuff with
Yeah.
turtlenecks.
You ever watch an episode of that 70s show? Fucking Kelso wears turtlenecks all the time.
Turtlenecks. Those are
Really the only
expensive.
character.
Those are expensive.
And
Yeah.
the ones in the 70s were made with authentic turtle too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Expensive. So
Yeah. I guess that's the podcast.
Speaking of the fights, by the way, what was everybody's favorite fight scene?
Oh man.
I really liked the final fight. I know it's supposed to be the biggest, but I really liked how the main bad guy would just keep equipping new attachments. And then his final attachment was just 4 knives on a block of steel.
Which was cool. I
It
think we
was
all
cool.
agreed
It was cool.
we would do that. Yeah, I think I guess I'll get a little more specific. I'll say Lee versus Han, but specifically in the Hall of Mirrors or whatever.
Yeah, fair.
Was really cool. I feel like, again, I don't have the frame of reference, but I feel like that was probably pretty fucking cutting edge in 1973. Because even me watching it today, I'm like, how did they hide the camera? Couldn't imagine watching that in the 70s. It would melt my fucking brain. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Also, it was really cool how he died. It was also funny when Bruce Lee though eventually was like, well, I gotta break the mirrors, but then he just like cracked the mirrors, like you could still obviously see through them, but it worked. So
Yeah. I would have to get to the final fight too. It was a lot of fun, especially when there's a shot where they used a double, like a mannequin or whatever, but Bruce Lee kicks it so fucking hard. It's just a crazy shot because it's like I will say the camera work for this was pretty damn good. So
yeah,
for that shot specifically, because there was other camera work that was not so good, but not, nothing to harp about. But anyway, for that shot, it was so quick that you would think that the guy Han was still there, and Bruce Lee just kicked the hell out of him.
Yeah, it went flying. Like it had to have been just like like Wenzel said, a fucking like sparring dummy. Because I think I said it looked like he kicked a Muppet.
For the Gen Z fans, it's like that one Vine of the little kid saying, "I'm about to sing you a song," and it gets knocked down by his brother with a pillow.
Actually, yeah. Weird that you said Gen Z, because I don't consider Vine really Gen Z's thing.
Well, Gen Z was like teenagers when that shit was popping.
How old are Gen Zers now?
I think the oldest is 26, maybe?
It's whatever Tanner's age is.
And nobody knows that, so
27? How old are you, Tanner? 28?
27.
Okay, there we
So
go.
27.
Am I Gen Z? Because I watched something the other day that was like, millennial, 1981 to 1998. I have never heard a millennial in 98.
No, that's
There's no
not
way. I'm not a fucking
No.
millennial.
I
Yeah,
know,
you're
right?
a
Like I wouldn't
millennial.
consider into a millennial.
That is disgusting.
Yeah,
offended.
I know. But also, I've heard millennial. It's so weird because like the most common one I hear is millennial ends in 95, but also Gen Z starts in 95. I don't fucking know.
No,
I don't know. Where am I?
No, all three of us were Gen Zers, Zoomers. It's just that I believe that Tanner has so much more exposure to millennial type of kind of
And radiation.
society, Imagine Dragons, radioactive.
We all listen to Radioactive, okay?
Yeah, we all did. I will agree. But anyway, yeah. So Tanner had more exposure to millennial type of stuff. So me and Cole, we definitely were more what's the word?
Gangster?
we're more gangster, yes, but we're more like we've been kind of setting in the Gen Z ooze longer.
Yeah, like how old were y'all when y'all got cell phones?
Oh, I was like 9.
What?
Yeah, I got mine in like 2008.
Was it what was it?
It was like a slide phone. I don't know the brand, but it was like one of those like you had to slide it up to get the number pad.
How old were you, Wenzel?
I was like 14.
Oh fuck, Wenzel, you're fucking ruining my point. Okay, I was like 13. Well, I was gonna say, but it seems like somewhere between me and y'all is when people started getting cell phones as children. Where like people my age still didn't get cell phones till like they were teenagers. Like definitely like middle, 7th, 8th grade, middle school. Where it seems like y'all and like people like my younger brother's age, I guess, got their phones when they were like 8.
That applies to me. It works.
I don't know, but then Wenzel completely ruined my point, and Wenzel just got his first cell phone last week, so I don't fucking know anymore.
But back to this. So we like the last fight, obviously. What do we think overall, though, of the fighting, of the choreography?
I thought it was pretty solid, but I don't really have a frame of reference because I haven't seen many like MMA movies from this time frame or MMA movies in general.
Well, so I watch quite a bit of we'll just say contact sport. I watch kickboxing, I watch regular MMA, boxing, even like certain promotions, professional wrestling like UWFI, pro wrestling rings, Pride, all that shit. The fact that like there was moves pulled off in specifically done by Bruce Lee, who I think we have established canonically as probably one of the best athletes of all time.
Yeah.
Just from I mean, he was an athlete, but just he was a very athletic person.
No, he was an athlete, dude.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like, yes, he's an athlete,
esports.
but he didn't technically play a sport, is what I'm trying to say.
He didn't play League of Legends, Dota,
that is
Overwatch.
True. Yeah,
My bad,
Lee
I'm sorry.
never got to play Overwatch. And there's people like in today that still can't do some of the shit Bruce Lee did, and part of that, is that he could technically fly with only being 135 pounds and 5'7" in pure muscle. He could levitate off the ground. People can't do that now. But it's so from my frame of reference of what I've seen and just like real sport and like actual quote unquote martial art movies, I guess, that I've watched, like this, I mean, this holds up just as well as any of the other ones. Now, this doesn't have like maybe like the epic flair of like a John Wick per se.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just like that wasn't even. That's unfair to you. That's like comparing a fucking 2023 car to a fucking Model T and putting them on the speedway and being like, all right, race, whoever wins is the better car. I mean,
yeah,
it's just kind of fucking unfair in that way. But I thought this movie, or the action sequences in particular, held up extremely well. I don't think there was a single bad action sequence in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna ask. I think this would be kind of a nice scale for all the summer fisting movies. Is how was the energy? Because in my opinion, I think when it comes to movies that focus specifically on hand-to-hand combat or fighting, there's a certain energy to it, like an energy that like gets you hyped up, being like, yeah, I want to go, just roll around the room or something. So like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would we say the energy is at? Like, everybody can say their own rating,
I think personally, and I gave it a 4 on Letterboxd. I think the energy is firmly at an 8 for this movie. With the pure, because obviously there is a Dewdrop energy to this movie. I mean, they're on this island, they're fighting, they're killing, they're fucking.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's just this movie oozes testosterone, brother. And yeah, so I'd probably go an 8.
Okay, nice.
When it comes to the energy, like I gave it 4 stars as well because really enjoyed my time with it. But when it comes to like the energy, I'd probably give it a 7 because
Okay.
like I didn't feel the need to run around the room smashing shit, but I really did enjoy my time there. Now,
Okay.
like 8 and above for me is when I start kicking shit and like stabbing people.
No, I definitely could have fought one of y'all after this movie.
Oh, okay. What about you, Wenzel?
I have to go actually in the middle. I'd say 7.5. I kind of, it was a good. It had, I think, a good energy to it, and like you said, I didn't really feel the need to go kind of run around the room. But if I wanted to do just one pop off, try and fly, I felt I could do that. So I say 7.5, and so that makes the average energy for this film a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, yeah, that fits.
Yeah, and like they said too, our movie ratings, they were all 4 out of 5, so that's also an average of 4 out of 5, 4 out of 5
Yeah.
stars out of 5. Yeah,
I mean,
like
obviously too with this movie, like we did want to start with something like pretty, because again, none of us are like martial art kung fu expert
Speak for yourself, but
in movies. We just haven't seen a bunch of them. Obviously, we all are trained and could kill with our bare hands.
Oh, yeah.
If tasked.
yeah, we all had to get licenses for our hands.
But as far as seeing it on film, we are not experts, so we thought this movie was a very easy port of entry. And I'm not saying any of the movies we're watching are real deep cuts, but we are getting progressively, like, especially as they get more modernized, a little bit weirder, a little bit more stank on them. This is pure essence martial art Bruce Lee random white guy movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, because it's like, it's what pops everything off, basically, Yeah. I mean, like we've said.
I mean, you could argue if this movie didn't come out when it did. Also, I do think you have to at least tie a little bit of it to the untimely death of Bruce Lee. But if this movie doesn't have as much of a global impact as it did, could have killed the whole fucking genre dead in the water. And then we would have never got like fucking Jackie Chan, who is one of the biggest fucking movie stars ever, kill a whole genre. But also, I don't think there would have been even a remote fucking interest in what we would get in the late 80s, early 90s with the advent of like mixed martial arts promotions with your Pride, with your UFCs and stuff like that. I think it would have stayed pretty regional in that extent. And I don't think you would have these global fucking brands. I mean, now you have UFC, I guess you have, I don't know, Ryzen or whatever. But I honestly, without these movies, I don't think like the whole fucking influencer boxing thing even happens, because I don't think people end up just not fucking caring about it. So yeah, that's that's my take.
Yeah,
huge cultural significance. 10 out of 10 cultural significance.
I mean, yeah, that's also the reason why it got put into the National Film Registry, was because of its significance. That was in 2004.
Does Butterbean knock out Johnny Knoxville without Enter the Dragon? I can't say no.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, it is wild to think. And then also too, like, if you compare it to like Tanner was saying before about stuff now, it's really tough too, because for this film, almost everybody in here is a trained fighter for the most part, but they can't actually beat the shit out of each other. They actually have to do stunts and act and all this stuff.
Yeah, so it's pro wrestling.
So it's like to see like the amount of control and like basically like the thought into the effects and choreography is something also to consider. And I think is really interesting to compare to nowadays, where we can pull off some crazy shit and make it look real.
Yeah. And it's fucking Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Who is not a, by any
Or-
stretch of the imagination like a fucking master of the martial arts.
Now, Keanu Reeves did get training for the John Wick films. Those are actually kind of fun to look at, but yeah. And then I should also mention too the Raid, because there's some crazy shit in the Raid that would not be possible without special effects like today.
Yeah,
I'll just say that. Yeah.
Got anything else to say about the movie?
Anything else? Yeah.
Watch it again. I know a lot of you listening to this have probably watched it before. Watch it again if it's been a while, because this movie just rocks. This is a great movie. Turn on, get some friends over, get some fucking za pizzas, and just watch Enter the Dragon.
Or get some za slurping. You know what?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
talking, that
ices are
sticky
really
icky.
good.
Oh, get
talking
that.
about marijuana.
No, you're not supposed to say it.
I believe
I can't wait to smoke weed with you.
Oh, get the fuck away from me.
What did you say, Wenzel?
There is a funny picture on Twitter where a guy sends a message to one of their friends, and it has a big ass like emoji face with buck teeth saying, "I can't wait to smoke weed with you," but I do it in this kind of funny like voice. And whenever he sends that message, though, the guy replying is like, "Get away from me!"
Wait, I feel like now one of y'all sent that in the group chat a couple of days ago.
It was me, because I definitely sent it in there and I retweeted it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I remember seeing it out. Yeah,
It's
this is
so
pretty good.
I can't wait to smoke weed with you.
Yeah.
That's how I read it. Yeah, go check it out. Get a milkshake too if you want.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Just watch the movie.
I don't can tell you what to do.
Yeah, we can't tell you what to do. I mean, we can't. I mean, you do whatever you want.
Send me $500 if you want to.
Listen, I'll give you 8-3 odds you won't send Colt $500.
Yes.
Who wants to take it?
I'm gonna bet 5-1 that they won't send Colt $500.
That's fucking crazy, Wenzel, because I just set the odds at 8-3. So,
well, that's crazy because I'm betting 5-1.
10-0.
Should we go into plugs?
Yeah, plug it.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the first Summer of Fisting. I just now noticed that Wenzel made the doc Summer of Fisting, Punch 1, Enter the Dragon. Are these even going to be episodes? I don't know. Probably. Bang, bang. You can check me out on Twitter at Tanner1495. Also, follow the podcast at AYCH Podcast. Go listen to all of our podcasts on the AYCH Extra feed. A new episode of Instruction Booklet drop. Go check that out. Guess what? New episode of Backlog Boyz dropping on Wednesday. We talking all sorts of shit. We flew Wenzel specifically into the Philippines. Y'all ain't heard Wenzel in months, and he's back. So definitely check that out. Twitch is on, I don't want to say a hiatus. I just got really busy at work, and after recording this, I'm literally going off the fucking grid ski for a week. So give me like 2 weeks to get the Twitch back up and rolling. We'll be doing some Street Fighter, some cool shit like that. And yeah, that's about it. Muscle Orchestra. Again, I'm going off the grid. So that will come back soon, especially with the G1 probably popping off. I mean, it is popping off soon. But yeah. Check all that out.
My name Colt. Follow me on Twitter at ColtD00. I'm sending a tactical pug to your location, and it's going to kick your ass. It's going to fuck you up.
Damn. Yeah. Thank you thank you for listening. I'm Wenzel. Follow me on Twitter at WenzyWilkie. Follow my art Instagram at World of Wenzy. Follow my Bookstagram, Wenzel Banters. My store isn't open yet, but it will be soon, or it might be open when this comes out. Anyway,
this comes out tomorrow. For reference.
So yeah, no. It does.
It's not going to be open tomorrow. But my store, though, if you are curious, it's worldofwenzy.bigcartel.com. But all my links for everything will be in my link tree, which is in my bio for everything. So go check that out. Go check out Backlog Boyz. Go listen to everything. Yeah, thank you.
Y'all want to hit them with the intro one more time before we go?
Why not?
All right, hit it, boys.
Woo!